So I'm going to do a quick walk around on the 1997 Harley-Davidson Wide Glide. That is an FXDWG that I just purchased. Purchased this bike sight unseen from an acquaintance of my son's in South Florida, where we used to live. We now live in upstate South Carolina. I was told this bike had a fuel leak at the petcock and needed tires, both of which were true. The petcock actually had 2 leaks, and the tires are date-coded 2007 and extremely cracked. Sidewalls are cracked, coming apart, so it does need tires. But of course, as you can see, that's pretty bad, pretty cracked. So we're not going to ride it on those. Going to have to replace tires as well. But it needs a few other things. I got looking at it, and kind of why I want to go over this. You buy a bike sight unseen, you do that at your own risk. And it's got a bunch of stuff wrong with it. It hadn't run in a while, so I wanted to make sure it ran before I started spending any money on it. I knew that it more than likely has some carburetor issues, but I wanted to hear it run, see if I could tell if it had any internal engine issues, since I knew nothing about the bike. So I hung a fuel bottle on it, hooked it up to the carburetor, and plugged the console back in once I got the tank off, and fired right up. There's another video I posted. It actually sounded really well. Surprising how well it seemed to run. I didn't ride it, of course. Can't really ride it. The fuel tank was absolutely terrible inside. While looking great on the outside, inside the fuel tank looks as if it had had a liner coating put in it at one time, which decided to let go. And the fuel petcock was leaking from a couple of spots. Sorry about that, pardon the camera work. It was leaking around the valve right there where you rotate it. It was also leaking around the tank where it screws in. And it's just complete, screen was completely clogged with rust and tank liner material. The crossover tube in the front of the tank was literally blocked with junk. This is an aftermarket petcock. As you can see, there's no vacuum hookup on it. The original OEM ones use a vacuum hookup, auto turn off. So when you shut the bike off, vacuum stops. It stops fuel flow to the carburetor. And I like that idea, not because I forget to turn my fuel off, but it's kind of a safety feature. If you crash or fall over or get hit or whatever, engine stops, the vacuum will turn that off, and it'll at least stop the flow of fuel to the carburetor, at least. So I like that idea. Just another safety thing. I did flush the tank out. I spent about 4 hours cleaning the tank out, trying to get all the liner out of it, blowing compressed air, and soap and water, and all kinds of things shaking around, and I thought I got all the tank liner out of it. And inside of the tank was pretty rusty, so I filled it with distilled vinegar, filled it right to the top of distilled vinegar, and let it sit for about 5 days, and it looked awesome in there. Just looked great. And I went to use my my evacuator and pull the vinegar out of there, and all kinds of liner material had worked loose from my vinegar, so I had to spend about another 4 hours flushing the tank out again, which made it flash rust really badly inside. And I was out of time that particular day, so I just got out everything that I could get out again. It had flash rusted pretty bad, but I just kind of wanted to show you this. I filled it up with kind of a mixture of diesel fuel and two-stroke premix, and man, like this whole inlet neck area was really flash rusted when I did that, and you can see it doesn't look bad at all now. I mean, all of this was really flash rusted, and I didn't fill this up to the top, right to the edge with diesel fuel or anything to stop the rust. Just the diesel fuel / two-stroke premix in the tank, and the vapors that it created, the rust is now gone. So I got high hopes for the tank. Hopefully it doesn't leak. I'm not ready to clean that out and put the bike back together yet. So I'm just going to let that sit like that for now. I've got other stuff to do. I did post a video of the bike running. If you had checked that, you would have seen, if you looked at my channel, you would have seen I hung a fuel bottle on it, hooked it up to the inlet on the carburetor, and started the bike. It says an S&S Super E carburetor with the teardrop air filter on it. And it started and ran great. Motor sounded great. The carburetor was leaking fuel. Get my flashlight back out. I don't want to take any more apart. But right from that area, you can see right up. Oh, my camera work is awful. right up around the top of the accelerator pump area. There you can see how it's all clean right there. Fuel is running down out at the top of that accelerator pump. So I'm going to have to take care of that. I'm going to have to go through the carburetor. I figure it's probably full of dirt anyway. The crossover tube on the tank was completely rusted up, so I'm sure a lot of that stuff is in the carburetor. And it's got some other issues, like these vents aren't assembled correctly. They don't tighten, and they're all miswashered. Took me a while to figure out what to get for that. And it's because I don't know anything about motorcycles. I'm an auto technician. Don't know anything about bikes, especially Harleys. But this is an older S&S cylinder head vent conversion kit, and O-rings go on the bolts inside these banjo fittings, and they are of course gone. And how you do that is you set the backing plate up and you put your vent fittings in there, and you use washers to shim it and get it to where this all sits flat. And new O-rings, I searched at first, couldn't find O-rings. And I didn't know why, and then I finally found out that this is how S&S used to do it. They don't do it like this anymore. They have a new kit to replace that with, so I ordered the new kit. Of course, once I ordered the new kit, I then found the old stuff. But this is a new kit with the new banjo bolts, washers, which I like this better. You hook this, you put this together, put it in your cylinder head, and it's got like sealing washers on either side of the fittings, which I like that better rather than O-rings on the inside. You pull it up, and then you shim it, the backing plate, to these, and then put screws in from the outside to hold that. And I got a new tube because that tube is pretty nasty. And I did get a carburetor kit, a Milwaukee Twins carburetor kit that got great reviews, other than the needle and seat. I heard the needles and seats were horrible. So I went ahead and ordered an S&S seat. And in here somewhere is an S&S needle. I don't know where that went. It's in here. I ordered a brand new S&S needle. There was no gasket behind the back of the air filter housing goes to the carburetor, so I got a new one of those. Got a new air filter, oil filter. It's got some other issues I got to go through, but the next thing I'll be doing is going through the carburetor. I'll try to post videos of that and get this all set up correctly so I can clean that tank out one more time and get it back on the bike and see how that's going to work. Do all this setup. There's a lot this bike needs. You see, it's not a bad looking bike. It gets really filthy, but I think it's going to clean up fairly nice. I have a leak in the primary, in what they call the derby cover. Again, bear with me. I don't know anything about bikes, but when you run it, it leaks out the bottom of that derby cover right there. So I got seals for that. I want to go into that anyway. Check the shoe wear on the primary chain adjuster and set that adjustment. Take a peek inside there and make sure that's okay. So I got gaskets and seals for that before I ride it. Bike's covered with oil back there, so that's obviously been leaking for a while, spraying rearward. Hopefully it sustained no damage, but we won't know, will we? Till we get that going. A couple other things I see. The exhaust. This is an aftermarket exhaust. I see no name on it. None whatsoever. Appears to be wide open. I looked inside the tube. I see no baffles whatsoever, and it sounds awesome. Not really in love with how it looks, but it sounds great, so for now it's going to stay, but I do have to fix the mounting. This is really weird. This is altogether funny. This is loose. There's a spacer back here. I have a feeling there's supposed to be something here, and it's all bent and twisted, so we're going to take that off. See if we can't put that together correctly, get the correct spacers in there, and make that more solid. It vibrates around. I don't know if you can see down there, but the bolt's loose, and so I got to fix that. And while I have the exhaust off, I want to see if it has the reversing cones in it. And if it does not, I will get a set of those and put them in there, along with new gaskets. So I understand that helps Evos with wide open pipes really well. So what else? Got to go through that. Got to go through the carb. Oh, I noticed this too. That was pretty cool. You can see that's where the intake goes to the head, and that looks to me like a bolt is missing. Oddly enough, there was no leak there. And I guess that's because of how that seal works. That flange pulls tight and kind of squishes that seal around the neck of the manifold. And I didn't see any vacuum leaks there. All the other bolts are there, but I did get a Colony intake manifold bolt set. So we'll clean that up, put them on there as well. Once we get the carburetor off, we'll fix all that. What else did I get for it? Oh, these bushings are shot. I don't know if you can see how bad that's shaking. But bars are literally clunking because these bushings, these riser bushings are wiped. That might be the way to do that. You can hear it. I don't know if you can see it. But I got a set of urethane riser bushings to put in there. We'll see how that goes, see if I like those or not. I was going to change the bars because they were leaned way down. And I didn't like how they felt, but then I just was sitting on the bike and I just gave them a shove, loosened up the clamp, put them up tight, and I actually kind of like the way they feel. I don't like these here. I'll take these off. This has a quick detach windshield, which I will not be using on the Y Glide. Anything I need a windshield for, we'll use the Road King. So, a couple of holes right there. I think I'm going to try to put a couple of turn signals right there if I can. Get them off the bars because that looks ridiculous. Mirrors are kind of nasty. Don't know if they'll clean up or not. Might have to replace those. Wiring-wise, I don't see that it looks too bad. The only stuff I see is whatever this is. It's had a little lighting work done on it. The rest of it looks intact. Somebody put a couple of those butt connectors in there. So I'm going to trace that out and see what that is. See if I can at least, whatever that is, if I can take it apart, solder it, and shrink tube it the way it's supposed to be. Probably get these off of here, get some smaller lights. I don't really care for the purple light and the tail light. We'll fix. This was falling off loose and the bulb was blown. But it is an incandescent bulb, so I'll probably leave that there. I kind of want to do that. Don't want to get into the whole headache of doing LED lights and adding resistors and all that. Kind of want this to be more of a time capsule. It's I can't wait to ride this. Sounds really cool. Overall, it's in pretty decent shape. I got a bunch of seats for it. That's a question I had for those of you out there that actually know what you're talking about, because I do not. This is the seat that was on the bike, which looks to me, according to what I can see in literature, to be a correct style seat. And I really like it. It's really comfortable. I got a couple extra seats with it, but I can't see any markings on here anywhere. Let's say it's a Harley-Davidson seat. Nowhere. In fact, whatever that is, Mills Co? I don't know. So maybe somebody out there will know. Is this an OEM seat or is this an aftermarket? Either way, I like it. It's comfortable. And looks good on the bike. So I think I'll go with it. I got a couple of other seats with it, but there are Harley-Davidson dyna seats. Whether they'll fit or not, I don't know. Console's in pretty good shape, pretty clean. Needs a little bit of polishing. That's kind of rough. Gonna have to clean that up. I guess the worst thing on the bike to clean up, I'm not sure how that's going to go, is going to be the backrest. That's a lot of nastiness around there, and I cannot find this emblem new anywhere. I did find a couple of whole backrests online. I might end up buying one of those because I really like that. I'd like that to look okay. Bought a new bib for the tank because the original tank bib is kind of nasty. We'll get that off and put a new bib on there. But long way to go before that. First things first, we're going to go through that carburetor and finish cleaning out that tank. Probably just go with the tank as is for now. Throw an inline fuel filter in it. And watch how quickly that clogs up. And may or may not leave that on there. We'll see how it goes. I might be looking for a tank. Who knows? I am a retired auto and truck technician. I am not a motorcycle technician. Do not take anything I say or do as factual. Do not take my advice. If you want good advice on motorcycles, go on over to my son's channel. That's Skunk Ape Cycles. He actually knows what he's doing. He'd be the guy to talk to and listen to. He'll tell you the right way. This is basically just, I wanted something to tinker with in my retirement. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play with this. You know, I'm looking at that. Those front fork lowers, I don't think they're supposed to be black. I think somebody must have powder coated those at some point. I think they're supposed to be more like an alloy looking type color. Kind of like it though. Looks good. Somebody might have had them apart and done that. Let me know in the comments. If you guys know, let me know. We're going to take care of those things that I said here, and I'll check back with you as I go. Let you know how it's going. Thanks a lot.